What's up, everyone? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. Special guest joining us today, Dodgers pitcher Michael Grove joins the show. Michael, always excited to have you. Usually I wait till spring training and you're gracious enough, but it's been a busy offseason, so I appreciate you making the time. How you feeling so far?
Yeah, feeling great. It's getting close to that time again, so ready to get back out there pretty soon.
Yeah, I see you're in a gym working out. I know last season, kind of a couple injuries took away parts of that season. You were able to make it back for the postseason. How are you feeling just physically coming off a groin injury, a lat injury, all that? Are you feeling 100%?
Yeah, definitely. It's all good now. Cleaned everything up and working hard to, get a little bit of flexibility. So, feeling good.
Being that this is your third season, has your off-season routine changed much, or is it sort of the same old, same old? What got you here is what's going to keep you here?
I have it pretty much down to what I like to do at this point. The throwing has been a little bit different this year, just trying some different prep type stuff. But yeah, I have a pretty good schedule at this point, and know what makes me feel good for spring.
Tell me a little bit about that throwing change. Is that related to some of the injury stuff or related to something else or just things you've picked up along the way?
More just things that we feel like can help me from a movement standpoint. Nothing crazy with delivery or anything like that. Just some added mobility and emphasis on things that maybe I don't get enough stretching in on. So just a little added time before I start throwing, I think.
So no throwing mini soccer balls or javelins. That's not worked into the routine quite yet.
No, but I might have to learn what that's all about. It might be
That was
working.
my thought is, we were talking on our show and I was as the Yamamoto stuff has come out in his routines, we were sort of joking because the reports are that this guy who is his coach or trainer is going to be coming with him. And so we joked like, man, I wonder if some of the other guys, I'm sure there are some guys that have their deal and they're like, this works for me, won't even open their mind. But it does seem like the Dodgers have a bunch of guys who are open-minded to, hey, if this can help me, I'm open to it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're great at being kind of on the cutting edge of all the new stuff that comes out, pitching, hitting. So anything that somebody brings to the table that's different, I think we do our due diligence and look into it. And if it works, it works, and if not, then it doesn't. But I think we're okay trying things, and that's fun.
Yeah. I mentioned that we're heading into what would be your third season in Major League Baseball. The first time you and I chatted, you were a prospect at Double A. And so I'm curious, like now, as I was prepping for this, are you the type of person who can step back and say, holy crap, like I'm about to enter my third season as a Major League pitcher? Or are you the type of guy that is very single focused on today? And when I hang them up, I'll kind of appreciate the journey.
Yeah, I'm probably more of the latter. I
Yeah.
just know that there's a lot that I need to clean up and get better at. So I don't want to, kind of look too much at it in the lens of, look how much I've accomplished, because I feel like there's a lot that I should be doing better, and that's kind of where my focus is.
Are there specific things this offseason when it comes to improvement that you're working on? Like, is it a particular pitch? Is it trying to increase velocity? Is it, you mentioned flexibility? Like, what's been your focus so far?
This has been the first off season I haven't been focused a ton on, overhaul or like, changing my pitches. It's going to be, more of the same, but hopefully just, cleaning up some things and being more consistent and being locating the fastball better, things like that. And getting some more reps with that cutter that I kind of broke out towards the end of the year. Um, and then I think the main focus for me with the body and everything is just kind of everything around that is it's letting me focus on, again, the flexibility and just making sure my body's in a really good place so that I can stay healthy for a whole year and hopefully get some consistency.
Talk to me about that cutter. I know that was a pitch that sort of you mentioned you kind of added towards the end of the year. I was looking at your numbers, you know, towards the end of the season, you were finding a lot of success. The hits allowed, walks allowed were down, strikeouts were up. So talk to me. I'm assuming the cutter was kind of a big piece of that.
Yeah, I think that I don't know if I threw any cutters to righties, so it was to lefties was really just something hard that kind of got on their barrel a little bit and just made them uncomfortable. Just my fastball was getting hit last year, um, and the two ways you can go about that are either really try to change the fastball and figure out how to make it how to make the characteristics better, or just kind of like accept it and figure out another way to get off the barrel. So we kind of dove into that cutter for the lefties and then had a lot of success with it. So I think that at least having that as an option going forward is going to, put me in a good spot.
Talk to me about that process. This is something from the outside that I'm curious about. When you come to that realization, hey, the fastball is not playing up in this particular situation, is that something that you go to the pitching coaches and say, hey, do you have any ideas? Do they come to you? Or how does that play out for a guy like you in an organization like the Dodgers?
I think that you have to get a little bit of a sample size. I think that part of it's a luck factor. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
the ball getting hit and not going towards people is partially luck, but then also after you dive through a month of results and they're like, all right, I mean, the only thing that's getting crushed right now is your fastball. It's like, all right, well, that says something. And it's like, now we need to we need to address it somehow. So whether it's, we need to be more focused on where we're locating it, or we need to, I added in a little bit of a two seam to run in on righties' hands and the cutter to run into lefties, just to, like I said, get off the barrel. And so, yeah, it's give and take. I mean, everybody's not going to be satisfied with the results if a pitch is getting hit pretty hard. So we're always looking to clean things up, and it's like I said, a give and take, and you're trying to just bounce ideas off each other. And, it's one of those things you just kind of feel it out.
Yeah. With all that in mind, heading into 2024, I've said this, like from the outside, you're someone who I'm biased towards, who personally I root for you. I want the best for you. I'm curious, as you think about the 2024 season and last season, you're a starter for part of the year, you're a reliever for part of the year. Like, have you gotten any insight from the Dodgers heading into this season about the plan for you? I mean, I know there's uncertainty in the rotation and depth in the rotation, but you also had you were pretty effective as a reliever, especially toward the end of the year when that was your role. So have the Dodgers given you any clues about kind of what they want you to prepare for this season?
Um, Nothing yet. I'm preparing to start knowing that if something changes, I can always like decrease the workload,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. But again, I think a lot of it just has to do with the rest of this free agency, and we'll get to spring and see how things shake out. But for right now, I'm not focusing on the roster or anything like that. All I can do is get my work in and try to be as good as I can come February.
For a pitcher, you've started obviously the entire time you've been a baseball player. You've been incredibly successful at it, getting a college scholarship, being drafted as highly as you were by the Dodgers, and then obviously, getting promoted straight out of AA. I get the sense that, you know, like you said, organizations want to keep a guy a starter as long as possible. I don't know if there's a stigma about being a reliever where it's like, less preferable, but how has that been as a journey for you kind of in the last couple of seasons, especially as you've gotten to the major leagues, not having a defined role? Like, are you more comfortable as a reliever now? Are you more open to being a reliever now? Or is it like, hey, the goal 1A is still be a starting pitcher in Major League Baseball while at the same time being open to kind of doing whatever the team needs from you?
Yeah, I think that, like you just said, that the first thing is being a major league pitcher and being a good one. So
Yeah.
I don't want to necessarily put a label on myself because, like you said, I've been in a lot of different roles, and I wouldn't think of myself strictly as a starter or strictly as a reliever right now.
Yeah.
And I think the good side of that is that I've been put in a lot of situations that maybe most people don't experience, and I have a lot of
Yeah.
flexibility at the position. So I've pitched late in games, I've pitched bulk innings, I've pitched as a starter for 6 or whatever it is. And just a lot of different uses gives me a little versatility, I think, which is a benefit. I think all of us naturally that grow up as starters, it's like I want to go out there and have a chance to throw 200 innings in a
Yeah.
season. And that's just that's a competitive mindset, I think. And, you'll figure out where the dice lay at the end of it. But that's kind of what I'm training for. And that's what I feel like I'm able to provide.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my goals. And, but again, it's about winning games with the Dodgers, and it's about me putting myself in the best position to be a part of that and to help that however it is. So
Yeah.
however I slot in, I'm fine with it.
From the outside, I think there's this belief that it's really challenging to a pitcher to not have a defined role. That like the mentality of being a starting pitcher is dramatically different than being the guy who might come in the 7th inning. As a guy who's now done it, and I would argue done it pretty effectively, do we overblow that a little bit, like the difference between those two things? Or would you say, no, it is really a challenging thing to be able to shift between those two roles? Sometimes in your case, it feels like on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think that would be the challenge, is just kind of the lack of consistency.
Yeah.
It's sort of in the way that, like you said, it's, maybe one game you're gonna pitch with an opener, and then I'm gonna take down bulk innings. The next game I'm starting, and then maybe 2 weeks later,
Yeah.
it's like I'm pitching the 7th and the 8th. And those are all three extremely different situations. And I think the preparation for it is the difficult thing. Mentally, there's just a little bit, like if I'm starting and I know I'm starting, it's like I'm kind of stressed out the entire day. And I'm like, you have the butterflies and it's like you're ready to go. And then, but as a reliever, you don't have that same feeling like the entire day. But when the phone rings, it's like that's an adrenaline rush like nothing else. So I think the mental aspect of it's nice to have some consistency and get used to like your routine and what you're doing. So I think that's the hardest part about bouncing around between various roles. But also, like I said before, it's an experience that not everybody gets to have, and it gives me experience in all three, I'll call it roles, throughout the game. So I've kind of been in every situation, which I think is valuable.
I'm curious, like, is there a part of being a reliever that is fun when you go in there and know that, like, hey, I don't have to budget my energy here for the next like 2 hours and 80 pitches or whatever. Like, I just get to rear back and throw this thing as hard as I freaking can. Like, is there an element to that as a guy who's been a starter your whole life that is enjoyable and exciting?
Yeah, it's very different because I've always been the guy when I start that kind of, it's like eases into the game
Okay.
almost,
Yeah.
or at least not really, but it's like that's how it feels.
Yeah.
And so it's been a conversation with coaches before where it's like, hey, don't try to, like, even as a starter, like don't try to ease into the game. Like go out there with your best stuff first pitch, and like,
Yeah.
even if that's going to be a first pitch slider, like, everybody throws a first pitch fastball. And so that's kind of been a conversation. So when I go in as a reliever, I kind of do that, and it's like, oh shoot, maybe I should do this, every inning regardless. And so it's been weird to kind of just like, the mentality does flip a little bit.
It's interesting. I've never thought about this. Has experience as a relief pitcher made you better as a starting pitcher, do you think?
Maybe, like, again, it's just, what you do in the 7th inning. If you're just pitching one,
Yeah.
you probably could do that in the 1st inning. And then, um, I think something for me, like I said, that you ease into the game. It's like just going. I think what I've learned and what I'm expecting out of myself is just from the first pitch, whenever that pitch is, the first pitch should be, with the intent to, throw your best stuff to the first hitter you face, not wait till you see him the 3rd time around to give him some pitch that you haven't thrown him yet. It's like, just try to get the guy in front of you out, and then however long you go, you go.
Yeah, fair. Well, I want to shift gears here. I can't have you on and not ask you about the chaos of the Dodgers offseason so far. Um, I'm curious. I'll start with the Ohtani piece. Like, are you following this? Are guys on the team? Well, I'll ask about you. Are you following this in the same way that many fans are following this, where you're seeing the tweet about he's on a plane to Toronto and then, oh no, wait, he's not on a plane? Like, are you sort of day to day, minute to minute when that story starts to blow up, like the average fan probably is? Or how are you interpreting or sort of processing that news story as it's happening with Ohtani?
Yeah, I mean, I'm aware of it. Like every day, all you see on Twitter is what Otani's doing.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really like paying attention to it a whole lot until I saw news. Like, I don't know, just like people thought he was going to sign in LA, and I was like, oh, well, this seems like it's pretty close. And then he did, and then all hell broke loose. So, yeah, we had some fun with that in the group chat and everything. But he was, that was a crazy free agency for sure.
And I'm not asking you to get in trouble. I know some of the stories about the group chat have come out and become public, but I mean, what is the reaction amongst your teammates when Ohtani signs? I'm assuming there's a reaction to Ohtani's a Dodger. I'm assuming there's a reaction to $700 million. I'm assuming there's a reaction to 68 million a year deferred. Like, how does that play out amongst the teammates of the team that Ohtani is about to join?
Yeah, I mean, I think mostly just everyone's excited because, you know, that's going to be it's going to be a circus with the media and
Yeah.
everything coming up, but just a lot of energy for the team, and I don't think anyone is more excited than Joe, clearly. But
Yeah.
so as soon as Ohtani signed, Joe was pretty pumped. Um, but so yeah, I think that yeah, we had some fun with it, but obviously a huge contract for him, and he earned it, and we're excited to get him on the team for sure.
Yeah, is the Joe Kelly piece of this, like, what has that been like, where his wife's getting a Porsche and he's making the videos about giving the numbers? Like, that feels like just Joe Kelly's personality. So I can only imagine his presence in the group chats as all this is playing out.
Yeah, Joe's awesome, and he was really excited. I was hoping that Shohei might want to change to 78 myself,
Yeah.
but no, 17 it was. So
Yeah, no Porsche for you,
worked
Michael. It's
out
too
for
bad.
Ashley too. Yeah.
Not only Ohtani, obviously, then, like, it feels like days later they go out and get Glass now. A couple weeks later, they go out and get Yamamoto. I've said on our show, there are fan bases that will go their entire life without experiencing one transaction as large as any of these three. As Dodgers fans, personally, we're spoiled because the Dodgers put three of these together, spent whatever $1.2 billion in the span of like 3 or 4 weeks. After Ohtani, the hits keep coming, and there were, I imagine among the team, like among fans, there was an expectation of there was a belief that moves were going to be made, that guys were going to be added. Obviously, for you, it's got to be mixed emotions with the Glasnow piece because a couple guys are getting sent out in a trade that brings him in. And so you mentioned sort of excitement, but how, like, there's a dynamic that I don't think as a fan I can truly appreciate when these transactions happen. A, because of the personal side of how this impacts individuals, guys that are getting traded, all of that kind of thing. Can you give us a window at all into how players are processing all these little details?
Yeah, I mean, obviously every move we make affects, not just a couple people, it affects the whole team
Yeah.
and the roster. Um, I think that the thing that we appreciate as players is that, and you guys should appreciate as fans, is that our front office is all in
Yeah.
and is dead set on producing a winner, and that that's as players, that's all you can ask for is to be put in a great situation to win. So that's exciting for all of us. Like you said, though, it's a couple guys that I came up with get shipped off to Tampa, and that's going to happen every year where some of us are gone, and that's just part of it. But yeah, there's a personal side to it where those are my buddies, and gonna miss them. But then also getting some unbelievable talent coming in that hopefully I can continue to learn from and get to know as well. So it's exciting. And then there's also the personal side that, there's change every offseason. It's
Yeah.
never the same team twice in a row.
Do you have that anxiety of like wondering, man, is some news going to break tomorrow and my phone's going to be blowing up that I'm sent out? Or are you able to kind of just stay present and say, hey, today is the day that I've been handed and I'm going to work out and sort of go from there?
Yeah, I don't worry about it too much. I really don't pay attention to most of the trade rumors that go around. Um, if my phone rings one day, then it does. But until then, like you said, it's just come to the gym, get my work in, go home, and you know, cook dinner. So
There you go.
yeah, that's all I'm focused on right now.
Well, hey, we do like to talk food on here. Do you have like, I mean, if Michael Grove is cooking for himself for some dinner, I mean, you could be honest here. It doesn't have to be the healthiest thing you've ever cooked, but what's your go-to meal for yourself in the off season?
Oh shoot, it is going to be healthy because I've been really getting into steak. I've been watching Chef's Kitchen or
Okay.
Hell's Kitchen a lot.
Oh,
Sorry,
love it.
with Chef Ramsay. So I've been just searing some steak, some sort of potatoes, asparagus, something like that. Um, but yeah, I've been trying to cook more because I'm tired of door dashing 3 meals a day.
Yeah. Well, okay. I mean, do we have a favorite cut of steak? Do we have a temperature we like to cook to?
Yeah, ribeye, medium rare.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
about
Yeah, it would have been, even if you were like a medium well guy or a well done guy, it was like it's a smart move to just not say that out loud. But medium rare, ribeye, all right. And then are we like stovetop? Are we
yep.
smoking it? We got a barbecue. What do we got?
Yeah, just in the pan.
Love it.
Yeah, a couple minutes on each side, flip it a little bit, and yeah, I feel like you can't really undercook a steak as long as it's warm.
Yeah.
So yeah,
There's people. I remember going out to a restaurant with a family friend, and he ordered a steak blue, which I had never heard before. but I believe, and somebody will probably correct me in the comments if I'm wrong on this, but it's like literally take the meat, you slap it down on one side, slap it down on the other side. And I believe it genuinely is not warm in the middle. Like they are literally
Yeah.
trying to sear the thinnest layer of the outside, and that's it.
That's too much for me,
Yeah.
personally.
No, I'm with you. Medium rare is a great order. Like I wouldn't go more rare than that, but that's probably about where I'm at. So, good to know. And you're eating well. That is better. If you were door dashing, like what was your go-to DoorDash prior to becoming a chef?
Um, Shoot, that's a good question. It just depends. Like, I mean, pizza and wings is like the best answer, but like Cheesecake Factory, I feel like their food's pretty good. I always like getting the bread,
Yeah.
getting the bread with your meal is
Yeah.
nice.
Even when you're eating at home, it makes you feel a little bit fancy when you get, an entree of some sort and you've got some bread to go with it. So,
Exactly.
yeah, exactly. Well, hey, Michael, I appreciate the time. Enjoy the rest of your offseason. I mean, you're probably counting down. You've only got what, like a few weeks left until
Yeah.
pitchers and catchers report?
Couple weeks. Yep.
I love it. Is this sort of an exciting, like I imagine guys are pretty fired up to get back together. I'm sure you're seeing some of these guys during the offseason, but the couple weeks leading up to spring training, I imagine, are a lot more exciting than like 6 weeks into spring training.
Yeah, for sure. Like the first day back or the first few days back are always fun to see everybody, and then it's like back to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to get back out there and get with all the guys.
Awesome. Well, I'm hoping it's a super successful season for you again in 2024. We always appreciate that. I'm hoping to be at spring training, so maybe we can connect if I make it out to Arizona this year. But enjoy the rest of your time prior to reporting, and best of luck heading into this year.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us here on Dodger Heads. You can subscribe, ring the notification bell as well below, and we will see you next time.